Yes, everyone, welcome to the final preview of the season. As always, sponsored by the good folks at BetBull, and you can find the links in the description for all of the sign-up offers, up to £100 in free social bets, and giving away a signed Manchester United shirt at some point next week as well. If you'd like to get in the mix on that, they've been supporting me. They might be supporting me next year, so go and give the app a download. It's totally free, and it really helps with us securing the deal for next season. Righty then. 2 wins in our last 11 games is pretty shit, innit? And it feels shit, and it feels even more shit when you watch the shenanigans that's been going on in the Champions League this week. And let's be honest, the Huddersfield game was pretty shit. Last week we dropped points to the second worst team in Premier League history. We head into this game with Europa League guaranteed. There ain't no way we're getting out of it. We are stuck with it, which blows. It's definitely time to sling the youth in. Mike Phelan has just been announced today as the new assistant manager on a 3-year deal. Does that mean that we have identified somebody as a director of football? I think it's possible, if not probable. Daniel James is making the headlines a moment. And as always, United fans on Twitter have got a completely divided opinion on it. Some are saying, well, good, we're not going for the Galactico signings that haven't worked for us in the past. Some are going, Jesus Christ, is this what we've come to? I'm sitting on the fence about it because I haven't watched anywhere near enough of him. I'm going to spend the next few days watching as much as I can of him before I form an opinion. On the face of it, he's only got 4 goals and a handful of assists in the Championship. And considering a lot of people want Rashford sold, who's doing that in the Premier League at United, well, double that in the Premier League and at United, I'm not sure he's of the required quality, and he's not exactly like young either. He is the same age as Marcus, so hearing some stuff about a bad attitude, but hopefully he's been well scouted, and there is actually something in this being a signing of a player that we want, so keeping an open mind about it, but definitely not blown away by it just yet. Luke Shaw has won Player of the Year. I guess I can't even say best of a bad bunch, to be honest. I don't really think anybody stood out at all this season. It's been pretty ordinary. Even Luke Shaw has had a handful of decent games, but he's also had a handful of games where he's arguably cost us points. So it's a weird one. Ollie mentioned at the Player of the Year awards, he said, of course, we had a fantastic start. Everyone just enjoyed themselves because we started winning games. That's human beings. When you win games, you're confident, you smile, you enjoy yourself. So there's been highs, there's been lows, but I've enjoyed it. It's a great challenge, and I haven't gone to bed worrying about what's going to happen because I love coming in. The boys are fantastic and have a good attitude. Talk about the opposition just a little bit. Obviously, relegation was confirmed for them last week. Second worst goal scored in the league. Lost 3 on the bounce. They was Ollie's first game with that 5-1 win. First time that we'd scored at 5 since Sir Alex's last game in that 5-5 draw against West Brom. They love to play the ball through Camarasa, right to the front too, and they love playing long balls forward, straight into the channels and up for Callum Patterson, who's a former centre-half who now plays up front for them. Only 3 away wins in the league all season, and one that's just gone in on United in his press conference as well. Keys to victory for United today. I would like to identify some tactical things, but like Ollie's already let the cat out of the bag. Today's going to be, or Sunday's going to be, a farewell for certain players and a time for us to have a look at some of the youth. So which youth are we going to bring in? I think Chong, Greenwood, Gomez, Levitt, Garner, Puigmal, they've all been added to the squad list. They was all photographed in training. I'd be surprised at Puigmal. I think I'll also be surprised at Levitt. But what I will say is, keep an eye out next week. Something's going to happen with Levitt. Uncle Stevie's just told you, right? Keep an eye out next week. Something will happen with Levitt. So maybe he'll get a game or come off the bench. I would expect him to be on the bench. I don't think he's going to start. If he does start, the player to sort of expect is a bit of a Paul Scholesy type. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but vision and touch like you've not seen since Paul Scholes. He's very much that sort of mould of player. He could play anywhere from a 6 to a 10. Really comfortable as part of a midfield 3. A brilliant vision at pulling the ball through midfield like an old school Carrick did, where he puts those straight balls straight down into the channels for people to get on the end of. With runners, he would look fantastic. Obviously, Chong picks up his second Player of the Year award. He won the Jimmy Murphy Player of the Year last year. Now he's picked up the Reserve Player of the Year. Only 25 games to win both of those awards, which just shows you how few games get played at this level. Ollie on the final game selection has said It's the final game for some players. You never know in football. It might be your last. It might be the start of some careers as well. We've had some young players knocking on the door all season. We'll be starting with some kids as well. I've been quite honest. Challenging for the title would be miraculous next season. This summer is about who's here. Players who last here for many years. When he was asked about the James signing. Starting 11 wise, what I would like to see United go for, or what I kind of expect to see United go for, is as follows. Big Dave in net. That's not the team that I sent you.
It is.
Defo isn't. Just take it off a sec. Let me just double check. I think. All right, I can't do anything about it now. That's not the team I was going for anyway. The team that I'm going to go for is as follows. Lost my place now. Big Dave in net. The back four that I would like to see is Antonio Valencia, Smalling, Lindelof, Shaw. The midfield I would like to see us go with is Garner, Herrera, McTominay, and Lingard ahead of them, with Rashford and Greenwood up top. So that team again: Valencia, Smalling, Lindelof and Shaw as a back four. There's not really many options in the defence. The midfield: Garner, Herrera, McTominay and Lingard, with Rashford and Greenwood up front. Key player for United? Do you know what? Not really key player, but let's just take a minute here and actually honour Antonio Valencia. It's going to be his final game for the club on Sunday. It seems to have come to a little bit of a bitter end, but 10 years at the club, player of the season in 2012, absolutely phenomenal. A couple of seasons, 25 goals, 338 games, 2 Premier Leagues, 2 FA Cups, 2 League Cups and a Europa League. Was fantastic at right back early doors under Jose. When he first signed under Sir Alex, was this winger who had one trick and everyone knew what his trick was and you couldn't stop it. It was absolutely phenomenal. Loved his attitude early doors. It seemed to have waned a little bit as he's got older in his career, but fair play. Antonio Valencia, 10 years at Manchester United. We will wave him off on Sunday. Ole's promised him a role. What Ole said was, Antonio has really struggled, but I've spoken to him and he thinks he can play a part on Sunday. We hope to give him a nice send-off. That is only fair, and I absolutely agree. So we say farewell to Antonio Valencia. Right, let's have a look at my bets for this week, as we are sponsored by the good folks, as we said, at BetBull. I'm going for a couple of little cheeky bets. The first bet that I'm going for is as follows. Mason Greenwood to score 2 or more goals, 9-2. Do you fancy that? When Mason scores, he does like to get a couple. I think he's going to get opportunity, and I think he's going to surprise a few people. If he gets a full start, I expect him to score, and you can't really get a good set of odds on him just to score. Any time's not good. First isn't good, but 2 or more, it's not a bad price. So I'm going for that one. I've got a cheeky little fiver on that one. And the other bet that I'm going to be going for is a little bit of an acca, and that is City, Wolves, United and Burnley. City, Wolves and United to win, and Burnley and Arsenal to draw. That is what I'm going for. And that is 49-1. If you fancy sticking that on, then hit the link in the description. Totally free to download BetBull. Come and follow me on there, Mr. Stephen Howson. You can follow me on there. You can follow all of the big tipsters on there, and you can see what everybody else is winning as well. Going to head over to the Patreon group in just a second, but before that, we've got some quotes from Ole in the press conference. So he spoke about the players leaving. Mentioned that final game for some players. He goes, you never know in football. It might be your last, might be the start of careers. We've had some players knocking on the door. We'll be starting some of those kids as well, as we mentioned earlier. On next season, he says, next season we have to close that gap. If we manage to get to February or March and still be close, I think that's fantastic. It's not just about ready-made players. We have never been a ready-made club. On the transfers, he says, I don't know how many names have been mentioned. There are players who I have barely seen who it says we are going to sign. The earlier you can do the transfers, the better he is. I'm glad he's aware of that. I'm hoping he can get that out of the way. I think we did it last summer. We had a thing where we checked out how many players United had been linked to, and it was somewhere in the region of about 270 players, and yeah, we signed 3. So there's a massive amount that you do not sign. On Mike Phelan's appointment, he said, I was a player under him. His knowledge, experience and his demeanour, because everyone likes speaking to him, discussing football with him. The players really respect him. They know what he can do, and he has worked with the best. For me, I'm a young manager, and Mick has more experience in a few areas than I have. He plays a big part in it. The same with Mark Dempsey and Michael Carrick. We all care about the club, and it's never going to be anything but the club. I'm going to head over to the Patreon group now for some questions. There's a little bit of transfer news in the Patreon group at the moment as well. There's 700 or so people in there. There's an absolutely banging United community in there for match days, banter, all sorts of stuff. If you're interested in that and the extra content, it's not just transfer rumours. There's lots of extra content. There's a weekly Patreon podcast which doesn't find its way to the public most of the time. As well as behind-the-scenes vlogs and all sorts of other stuff as well. If you're interested in any of that, the link in the description will tell you what it's all about. Make your own mind up, see what you think. But there is some transfer news in there at the moment. Who United are briefing to the journalists, ones that I've heard of and ones that have been going on for a couple of months. So if you fancy that, link in the description, check them out. Ryan, if Mason doesn't start, do we right? I can't imagine he's not going to start. How much youth are we expecting to see, says Povey. As I mentioned in the preview, I would expect a few to start. I think also Angel. I really ummed and ahed about putting Lingard in the 10. I also think Angel could play there, or possibly Juan Mata. Maybe that'll give us an idea if he's about to go or not. Chong, after winning back-to-back Player of the Years, you could expect to see him feature as well. Who knows? Milan says, with this being a must-win, should we really be trusting Valencia at right back? For starters, is it really a must-win? I actually don't think Valencia could do much worse than what we've had there recently. Should this game be a glimpse to the future, as it's pointless and we won't get another pointless game like this next season? I think they should have played already. And I fully expect that to be most people's reaction. If Mason comes on, bags 2, everyone's just going to go, why didn't you play him 6 weeks ago? The kid's ready. The kid is absolutely ready. How times changed 2 years ago in the last game. Our senior lads were Wazza, Ibrahimovic and Carrick. Yeah. Clement says, who will we see that plays his last game that we won't see that goes in the summer? And who won't we see that goes in the summer? I would expect Darmian probably to go. Be surprised if he gets another send-off. I think you might have already seen the last of Rojo. To be honest, man, there's probably only about 4 or 5 that you think are definitely going to be here next year. I would not be shocked at 99% of people. Is Henderson back from Sheffield with their season finished? No, it goes to like 1st of June or 1st of July, whatever it is. Do I put money on Mason to score, says Ewan? I can't tell you what to do, and you should be responsible for your own stuff, and 18 plus at least. But I'm doing it, so make your own choices on that. Arshin says, why is it being that the youth have been barely given a chance despite the seniors consistently deliver shit performances week in, week out? Do I think that Ole is hesitating to drop these players? I have no idea. I can't answer that question. For me, it's not about experience, it's just about ability. And because what does experience mean? Experience means decision making, doesn't it? Like, he's got the experience to know what the right thing is to do. Well, our experienced players are the worst decision makers, so why are they playing? Play the youngsters, let them make bad decisions, but let them rectify them with good ability. That's how you learn. Do I think we'll sign a leader this summer? God, I hope so. If we can only sign 4 players, what positions would I sign and what positions would I promote from the youth? We're definitely looking at that over the summer. Knowing that we thrashed Cardiff 5-1 in the away leg, do I think that the scoreline of this match could reflect how much we have fallen since then? What are the odds that we start with 2 or more youth players? I think it's an absolute certainty that we start with 2 or more. Which of the youth do you think will start? Obviously, a lot of these, same questions. Happy with the Mike Phelan announcement? Yeah, I am actually. And I'm actually happier that he's staying coaching side and not gone into the director side, because I do think we need that experience in the coaching side. We definitely need it in the management side as well, but I think we need it in the coaching side, and we should go and get a specialist. We shouldn't. I don't really think we should be appointing Fletcher or Rio Ferdinand unless they've got some hidden qualifications that I'm not aware of. I'd rather see us go out there with someone who's got contacts, because that's what we need. Ollie's press is saying the right things again. It looks like there's a plan with the transfers and a director of football seemingly done. How many gems do you think we will find, and do I know of any players from the lower leagues being spoken of? No, I don't know of any players from the lower leagues being spoken of, but as I've mentioned a few times in the last few weeks, if the right player for us is a 32-year-old from the Championship, so be it. I want to see Ole get the right players to play his system, not a handful of shirt sellers figure it out. I want him to say, I want this guy to do this job and this reason, because it's going to be a cog in the team. And that's all I'm asked about. Any player from Cardiff that has impressed you at all? Nope. Nebby, I know Valencia deserves to play one last game and he was a decent player for years, but would you rather see him play one last game or give a youth player the chance? Both, actually. I'd like to see him maybe, and you do often see this in this sort of game, give him 60 minutes, bring him off with half an hour to go, let him get a standing ovation, and also give a youngster half an hour as well. That's the best case scenario. Unfortunately, Ethan Laird, Brandon Williams, both picked up injuries. Leo Connor's probably another one with an outside shout. I reckon he could feature on the bench and be the guy that replaces Valencia. That would be a good idea for us. What a fucking joke it'll be if it's Ashley Young. Connor, how many players who start will be in the non-existent long-term vision of the club? Again, we have to see who starts, don't we? Do I think the Maguire rumour is true? Do I rate him? Yes, I think it is true. Do I rate him? I don't think he's a leader. I don't think he's the leader that we need. Loki, is it time to wipe the slate clean and drop anyone not staying or likely to go? For me, absolutely. Don't know if he'll do that. Any surprise youngsters for tomorrow's team? I think Puigmal, who we saw in training, would be a surprise. I didn't think he would be anywhere close to being in contention. Dylan, I've had my eye on a little bit. There's things happening with Dylan, and I think that there's a real footballer in there. But he's never really knocked on the door. So, I don't know. It will remain to be seen. If Brandon or someone like that ends up getting a start, that's fantastic. But, we'll see. A lot of talk about the ownership and how badly we run. In the NBA league, the league have been known to step in when clubs are being run badly and tell them they need to appoint and what structure they need to have, because if teams are bad, the brand suffers. Do you think the Premier League would ever step in for United? The Premier League introduced this fit and proper person test, which was almost like a are you a terrorist, yes or no sort of question and answer thing. It was pathetic. No one's failed it as far as I'm aware, which is a joke. Are we having a review if the unthinkable happens? What's the unthinkable? Does it involve the opposite end of the M62? No. We might be having a mass move to the North Sentinel Island. Do I think the proposed signing of James shows we might be adapting to Solskjaer's plans, going back and bringing young, talented, hard-working players? Possibly, which is why I'm on the fence about it at the moment. On the face of it, not great. We will see. All confirmed, Herrera's gone in the presser. My favourite under moments. I thought he was mint in the semi-final against Spurs last year. Hard tackles, good passes, directing traffic, even diving and being a proper shithouse at times. It was everything you want out of Ander Herrera, and I think he was mint. Out of the teams promoted from the Championships and the playoffs, which do you think, if any, will be our new Huddersfield? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I could honestly see it ending up like Norwich or someone, because it's just ridiculous, isn't it, if that's the case? Am I hearing anything about rumours of Bay going to Arsenal? No, I haven't heard anything on that. I think Timbo has a future in the first team. There's things going behind the scenes with Timbo. He's got the ability. He just needs someone that's going to trust him and play him there. Not as a right-back either. You've got to play him as that ratter in midfield. Will I say Mason is injury prone, or has he been unlucky the last few months? I don't think he's been injured. I think the club have been holding him back, is my thought. And do I think Marshall will leave? I think Marshall wants to leave. Whether or not he goes is probably down to whether we find a suitable offer for him. And I think there's probably half a dozen players in that same boat as well. Let me go have a look on the YouTube questions, see if there's anything in there from everybody. We have got Chong in 1 year will be better than James. Possible. Not even the slightest bit excited about James. Is Bebe coming back to United? Chelsea at home 2 years ago was my favourite under moment. Yeah, that was good. Herrera, not the best. I mean, that's the sort of player we need in the team, though, really, isn't it? I mean, you know what you're getting out of him. Totally honest. Pure graft. That's exactly what you want. Victor, this is why I prefer to go to Sancho, because I watched him playing for England, and he's a class above Lozano and others I've mentioned. Sancho's good, but if he's going to cost 100 million, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Opinions on Rayola's ban? I don't know what he's been banned for. Any news about who gets the director of football? Not at the moment. Every club needs an Dembele. Yeah, I think you have to pick one up, don't you? I think every club, to play European competition next season, I think that's a new law that's coming, that you have to have an Dembele in the team. I've watched James 3 times, twice for Swansea in the FA Cup and once for Wales. He's brave, bright, incredible acceleration, both-footed. Okay. And I need to see more of him before I say. Memphis back or not? I don't think he could handle a club. There's other things at play, but I think it's probably that. Bayern have been in talks with De Ligt and Ziyech for some months now. Bayern usually do pretty good business, don't they? I'd be surprised if they spend 100 million on a defender, though. I will be surprised. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there, but thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. We've got the final United review on Sunday. Make sure to join us for that one. And there's all sorts coming out over the summer. So make sure to give the video a like. Make sure to subscribe. And I'll see you over the summer. Laters.